there's all these stories about, guys over in Macedonia who are running these fake news sites.
Number 24 is content farms in Macedonia.
Бидејќи ако се направи грешка, таа ќе биде кобна. Нема враќање назад.
So Europe need to remain more sexy lady in the world.
Ајде, мајката!
Господа ја чува Македонија и низините граѓани.
She used the adjective as in Macedonian American or North Macedonian?
No, Gordana tweets back, "Dear Ambassador Aguilar, thanks for the congratulations. I look forward to renewing the spirit of the Macedonian American," and then the two flags, relations, expanding the framework of our strategic posture. That's good.
I see to the Swedish ambassador, she uses Macedonia standalone and then Swedish-Macedonian relations, something like that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she won't be using North Macedonia, that's for sure.
Well, let's jump into it and just let this free flow.
Yeah.
So let's have ourselves a podcast. In 3, 2, 1. VMRO. Let's try this again. In 3, 2, 1. VMRO wins bigly in Macedonia. SDSM actually comes in third place to Dewey. It is a huge night for Macedonia, with the first female president of the Republic of Macedonia. Congratulations to Macedonia. I'm Jason Miko, coming to you from the foot of the Catalina Mountains in Oro Valley, Arizona.
And this is Cvetin Chelemanov in Skopje, now obviously just Macedonia, not North, not nothing like that.
Amen, brother.
Proper Macedonia.
Yes, wow. Well, congratulations to Macedonia, to my Macedonian friends and family. You make me wildly proud to be a friend of Macedonia. I am just so excited by the elections last night. VMRO won, 58 seats, mandati, as you say. I was hoping they were going to get to 60, and last night I was in Indiana for business, and I flew through Kentucky, and so I was checking the interwebs when I wasn't on the plane, and at one point the state election commission there said VMRO had 59 seats. But then this morning when I get up to look at it, the thing that really surprises me is Dewey beats SDSM with seats. Dewey has the European Front, I should say, is their coalition, because it's not just Dewey. 19, and SDSM has 18. Incredible. And of course, Gordana.
Yeah, it's a complete mess.
Oh my goodness! This is just historic. I don't know. I haven't gone back to look at if this is the largest number of seats and votes that VMRO has got in its history since the formation of independent Republic of Macedonia. I think maybe in 2008. Maybe they got more. Did they ever get 60, 61?
Yeah. They had, I think, up to 63 at times with Nikola. But, Hristijan would point out from the position of power, and now, this is the first time they've gotten so many from opposition.
Yes.
So once you're in power, all these people latch on to you, like all the smaller parties, the Roma, the Turks, and then it's easier to get to, 450,000 votes. But this is the first time VMRO has done it from opposition, and more importantly, they only have 58. It's not 61. It's not absolute majority, but in parliament. But the thing is that SDSM was never so divided. So this is the big difference. So it's not the VMRO's tally, but the victory margin between them and the second place. So it's never been this bad for SDSM.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good takeaway. So real quick, let's just go through the numbers for Parliament because Gordana won just a gigantic victory over Stevo. But SDSM, let's see, I'm looking at the State Election Commission here, just under 155,000 votes. The European Front. Now this is something I don't know. Parliamentary democracy is not what we do over here in the United States. So how you apportion seats based on raw numbers, numbers of votes and percentage. I don't understand the dark arts behind that. But
Yeah, it's made to help the bigger parties, so it's not like purely proportionate.
Right.
But it is somewhat proportionate. So it's proportionate that in that it helps smaller parties win. So we saw that this time with Levica and Znam winning seats. But then, if they do not have enough votes for another member of parliament,
Right.
so they get one in one district. But then, if they don't have enough for another, then their votes are distributed to the larger parties in a way. So that's why VMRO has more seats than proportionately they had votes compared to Levica or Znam.
Well, and then so for SDSM with just under 155,000 votes and 18 seats, whereas the European Front DUI fewer votes, just under 138,000 votes, but one more seat, 19 seats. So that your explanation.
There is another very evil element in this. I mean, very very weird element in that the 6th district where the Albanians win their seats, the northwestern part of the country, on paper they have over 300,000 voters. In reality, they all live in Albania, Kosovo, Switzerland, Germany, but we can't deregister them, or maybe we can now with VMRO finally in power. In reality, they only get about 100,000. They think they had about 110,000 votes cast. A different district in the east of Macedonia, they have like 280,000 voters on paper, so less than the Albanian district. But in reality, they're actually people who actually live there. So on election day, they have 180,000 votes. So you elect 20 members of parliament in the Albanian district with just 110,000 votes. And then in a different district, you elect again 20 members of parliament, but this time with 180,000 votes, 70,000 votes more. So this is why DUI wins votes much more easily in the 6th district. It takes much less votes to win a seat there.
Right.
The Albanian seats are worth much less votes. They elect a member of parliament with like 5,000 votes or something, because on paper they have the votes, the voters, because the voters are there on paper. They have a district. Their district gets 20 seats, but in reality, the voters are immigrants, and that this is why the voters elected in the 6th district are worth. The seats are worth much less in votes than the seats in the 4th district in the east of Macedonia. This is a huge travesty, and we actually made the district smaller. We sent Albanian villages to the district to its south, to Bitola Ohrid. We sent Albanian villages to Skopje. So now Albanians get more seats in Skopje and in the Bitola Ohrid district. We're actually making the Albanian district smaller, and their 20 seats worth even less in votes, because on paper they have so many voters, but in reality they're not there.
Interesting. Okay, that's good explanation. Well, it does look like there needs to be some sort of tinkering at the edges, on the margins of the system, and the way what you weight in terms of percentages and things like that for the parties. Now, there are 17 parties ran, only 7 are in will be in the new parliament, because there's a 5% threshold. And it's worth pointing out that both Levica and Znam have 6 seats each. Vlen, that's the Albanian opposition parties, have 13. SDSM 18. The DUI and their people, the European Front, have 19 seats, and the VMRO coalition has 58. So, going forward, let's stick here on parliamentary elections, and then maybe we can talk briefly about presidential stuff. And then let's also talk about the reaction, and then the international reaction. I think that's a good way of kind of looking at this.
That's important.
So it's VMRO, and the most likely partner is Znam, and then perhaps Vlen. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just based on what I know and what we've talked about in the past. Levica yes, no, along with that coalition?
No.
No, okay, I didn't think so. So, I mean, Levica is in terms of their, pride in Macedonia and the name and identity and things like that, I think they're on track. The problem is they're socialists, and VMRO is a conservative party, especially on fiscal issues. So there's going to be a clash right there. So, and
No, they wouldn't want to enter the government because their entire thing now is they're declaring that they themselves defeated SDSM and turned it into PASOK, like this losing Greek left-wing party. And then they also declare that they themselves achieved the victory over ZNAM because they have, I think, more votes than ZNAM, and they're equal with seats.
they have.
And ZNAM was winning by a lot in the presidential election. And now they're declaring for our next trick, after we achieved all of this all by ourselves, for our next trick, we're going to destroy VMRO and we'll be the biggest party in Macedonia. And
something from the Old Testament book of Proverbs reminds me. Pride goes before a fall and haughtiness before destruction. So good luck to you.
Just roll the eyes.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But they will not join the government. They will try to be like a loud opposition to VMRO. They might vote with VMRO on some issues, or maybe even if there is sometimes trouble with the Albanians, support the government so it doesn't fall. But they would not enter the government.
Now, the critical thing here for me, I think, is that between VMRO and ZNAM, you've got 64 seats. So obviously 3 more than you need, 4 more than you need, but no, 3 more than you need for 61. So they can invite VLEN, the opposition Albanian parties, but VLEN has no power, really, as opposed to last time when Dewey had all the power over their junior partner, SDSM, and walked away with everything and walked all over Macedonia. This is a totally different situation where, sure, yes, Albanians have been a part of the government of Macedonia since its formation, and they should be, and they should have a seat at the table and a say. But they don't get to run roughshod over everything that is Macedonian, as they have been doing for the past 7+ years.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, that's a huge takeaway here.
Yeah, even in some late interviews, like people from Dewey, they would say that, we were, at one point, we became concerned that, when they were debating, do they ask for Albanian prime minister for 2 years, for the half of the term, of their term with SDSM, or just for the last 100 days? And they say Zaev was ready to give us the 2 years, but Ahmeti, saw the polls and said, listen, we're going to destroy our host. We're the parasite killing the host, and we're overdoing it a little. And we'll have a counter reaction in VMRO, and this is exactly what happened.
Exactly. Yeah. Good point. So, has there been? I just haven't had a chance to do a deep dive into any of the news. Has Ali Ahmeti or Artan Grubi made any statements?
I haven't seen, honestly.
Interesting.
That's very strange. I didn't see much from either of the Albanians due to the language difference, but no, they're kind of careful.
Yeah.
So on election day, what happened was that Dewey figured out that they can try to make themselves a bigger political factor, impose their will on VMRO by blocking the presidential elections, by telling their people not to vote, and then the turnout drops below 40%. And the total turnout in the general elections was like 55, so it's possible they could pull it off. And then, we have no president, we have to hold another round of presidential elections, then maybe another, so they can blackmail VMRO, and maybe blackmail VMRO to put them in the coalition, or maybe fulfill their plan of electing the president through parliament with Albanian veto, which would mean automatically an ethnic Albanian president. So this was their calculation. And Artan Grubi from Dewey, he posted a video of himself voting, and he specifically did not take the ballot for the presidential election. So you get to the polling station, the guys identify you, you do the fingerprint to avoid ballot stuffing and family voting, and they offer you 2 ballots. But this time the teams were instructed, even in my area where there was very little indication that maybe SDSM will boycott, the teams were instructed to ask you, do you want one or two or which one? So this was because Dewey indicated they will boycott. And people were reacting like, why are you doing this? Are you trying to sabotage the elections?
Yes.
And normally they would just give you the two ballots and you would have to be the one to indicate, no, I just want one.
Right.
So Artan Grubi posted a video of himself voting only in one election, not in both. Ahmeti, Talat Jaferi, they voted for president as well, presumably for Pendarovsky. But the message was sent out and about, 60, 70,000 people did not vote in the presidential elections while they voted in the general election.
Right.
These were Dewey voters. And so they tried to sabotage the election. But by 5 in the afternoon, we already got to 40%, or the count was stopped at 39.3%.
Right.
This was very suspicious, but it was 5 in the afternoon. There was no way that, in the next 2 hours, we'll obviously have the remaining 0.7% in turnout. In the end, we got to about 45% turnout in the
46,
presidential elections. Yeah, the elections were a success, and Dewey shot their shot and they missed.
Yeah, big time.
So that's a big
Big league.
problem for them.
Yeah. So yeah, as I look at the state election commission here, so for parliament you had 907,000 votes. For president there were 784,000 votes. That's a difference of 122,000 actually. And
That many?
yeah.
Oh, crap.
And it's interesting. So 46.38% for president. The threshold was 40%. As you said, Dewey was trying to suppress it below 40. Of course, the last time that a boycott was attempted in Macedonia, the boycott was successful. Of course, I'm referring to the referendum of September 30, 2018 to change the name, meaning the vote was invalid, but of course the authorities went ahead and did whatever they wanted anyway, because why should we listen to the peasants? But this is interesting. As I look at this, and I have to compliment the State Election Commission. That's a very good website, really, in terms of being able to look at, and I was watching results come in real time on my computer and on my phone as I was traveling.
Yeah, you might want to introduce something like that in your country. I mean, I know it's complicated and technical, and
well,
still learning
we look
this
to you. We look to Macedonia. But this is presidential elections. So Lipkovo, 7.35% turnout for president. Dearce, 20.54%. Sarai, 18.22%. Let's see, what was Tetovo? Tetovo was 31.53%. So anyway,
Tito was good. Macedonians voted. The Albanian opposition voted for Gordana. In the end, Gordana ended up, if not being the winner of the Albanian vote, she's at least even with Pendarovsky, because Dewey Albanians did not vote for him, boycotted. Pendarovsky was very salty over this. He said he was maybe even still harboring some delusion that he might win. So he said hundreds of thousands of people were prevented from voting for me. So it was, it was very crazy statement he made. But in the end, if it's Gordana is close to winning the Albanian vote on top of winning the Macedonian vote by a huge margin.
Well, I'm looking at Tetovo here. So Gordana got 12,351 to Stevo's 9,199. So 48 to 36%. So
okay, there's a bunch of Macedonians there,
exactly.
But I pulled up some purely Albanian villages, and because of the Dewey boycott, she's actually winning.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we kind of went down that rabbit hole talking about in a response from Dewey. We really haven't heard anything. SDSM, to their credit, has sent out several people saying, we lost, we were defeated, we're going to take an internal review. Dimitar Kovachevsky is going to step down once they find a new leader. Yada yada yada. But they are to let's see if we can coin a verb. They were passucked. They were passucked. I mean, I can't get over this 18 seats and Dewey. Now, again, how many parties is the European Front? It's Dewey and what, 4, 5 more parties? Smaller.
So they're going to give a seat to. So they bought. Dewey bought a large chunk of his main rival, the Alliance of Albanians.
Right.
So their leader Taravari became presidential candidate, his predecessor as leader joined DUI,
Right.
obviously bought and paid for.
Literally.
Literally,
Yeah.
yes. So he won a seat in Struga, and I'm sure he has 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 other seats who actually respond to him, not to DUI. That's Ziadin Sela. So he might decide to leave, although his fight with the Albanian opposition was very recent and bad words were spoken recently. So it's possible that it might be a little bit too soon for him to do it. Then DUI is giving, I think, 2 seats to a Turkish party, which immediately, even after the first round of the election, said, no, wait, actually, listen, guys, we will be with the government, whoever the government is. Like, thank you, DUI, for helping us out here, but no, we're...
Can they be,
So this
can,
will be-
can they be thrown out if they start voting with the government? Can they be thrown out of DUI's coalition? No.
They can be killed by DUI, but
Well, DUI's very good at
probably
that.
not
so,
anymore.
yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, but now they're going to be a bit more careful about doing that.
About killing?
Now that they're indicated that they're going in the opposition.
Yeah. So,
Menduhtachi got a seat, so he's also, not super loyal to DUI.
and I'm surprised he's still alive. I mean, he's been around for 5,000 years, it feels like. So it's just kind of... Oh.
He's okay. He should be like
He's a crafty old fox that just wants to stay in power. That's all. So he has no ideology other than me.
Yeah. So VMRO, not necessarily the Albanian opposition, VMRO can actually take like 5-6 seats from the DUI list just by sticking firm to the announcement that they will form a coalition with the Albanian opposition and that DUI is going in the opposition. Or, VMRO could just say, listen, as we indicated, we meant no coalition with this leadership of DUI. This was their position.
Right.
So now if DUI is willing to get rid of Ahmeti and Artan Grubi, thoroughly reforms itself under new leader, under new management, that might be the most efficient way to break up DUI. So
I just don't see Ali Ahmeti voluntarily stepping aside unless he has a stroke, which, as I said in our last podcast, I hope he does. So, he's been around too long and he's too narcissistic and yada, yada, yada. So,
but listen, there could be people there in the party who might be willing to
kill him?
shove him out of the way. So,
One way or the other.
yeah.
He stepped in front of a very fast bus. I don't know why.
Yeah. Our trains run 20 kilometers an hour. We have to think of something.
Yeah.
And our buses are not much better.
So let's look at a timetable. Elections were yesterday. Results are being finalized. I don't know, today or, there's always that official, thing. I see that Gordana is going to be inaugurated on Sunday. That's one thing you don't have that we have, which is the 2.5-month transition period for president. But I suppose it's better that way. I suppose it's too early to talk about, the actual, who gets what. And perhaps we can save that for the next podcast, which we should probably do as soon as we know what those are. But let's talk a little bit about reaction. Of course, aside from the Macedonian reaction, there's the external reaction. A lot of congratulations coming in to VMRO, from their sister parties in Europe, from the IDU, and others. I see Ambassador Aguilar, the U.S. ambassador, congratulated Gordana on her election. Her, quote, historic election as the first female president of the N-word Macedonia. Congratulations to all those citizens who exercised their right to vote yesterday in presidential and parliament elections. The United States will continue to support your goals for the security, prosperity, and full Euro-Atlantic integration of the country. Of this country. Sorry, it's this country. Your beautiful country. So those are the key words. Full Euro-Atlantic integration. That means European Union, of course. That's her code for that. Now, Gordana responded, I think, quite smartly. She said, Dear Ambassador Aguilar, thanks for the congratulations. I look forward to renewing the spirit of the Macedonian American, to use the adjectives, and then the two flags, relations, expanding the framework of our strategic partnership and cooperation both within the Euro-Atlantic dimension as well as bilaterally. So, obviously, Gordana and Mickoski are already being criticized by all of our favorite lefties and progressives in the international community for not using the N-word. And, of course, this is going to be, I was thinking about this during my morning swim. I was probably do my best thinking when I'm doing my laps in the pool. The demented fool that runs this country, Joe Biden, had signed some order, or added to one of the executive orders saying that anybody that goes against the so-called PRESP agreement will be put on the blacklist, yada, yada, yada. So our friends on the left, at least on the Twitters and social media, are saying, they're all getting their knickers in a knot saying, well, they're not going to use the N-word, so this is going to have dire ramifications and implications for Macedonia's relationship with Greece and Bulgaria, and yada, yada, yada. I don't think anything is going to happen right away. And both Gordana and Mickoski have pledged to, respect the so-called PRESP agreement, especially when they kind of have to. They have to sign documents. There's websites. There's all this stuff where the N-word will appear. They just won't say it.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at the PRESP agreement, and I'm no lawyer, but if you look at the PRESP agreement, I don't think it says anywhere in there. It is completely silent on the issue of verbal communication, the spoken word.
Yeah, you can't impose speech on people.
Exactly. So maybe this might be a non-issue when they become president and prime minister. I don't know, but what are your thoughts, or is it too early?
No, it will be an issue.
Will be an
There's
issue.
no way we'll avoid this. So, we already have some people like, did you see that Dutch guy in Skopje? He's already started counting and reporting to the Greeks. Hey, look, they're not using North Macedonia. They're violating the PRESP treaty, like a stool pigeon. But yeah, the Greeks will catch on to this. Initially in the campaign and, over the years of VMRO, as VMRO was being persecuted by SDSM and the US Embassy here, they were careful on this. They would say it's the reality, we have to accept it. We'll have to slowly diffuse this bomb of the treaty with Greece once we gain power. In the last weeks, actually, Gordana got pretty feisty on the issue. She would say, no, I'm not going to use it. You can't force me, even including in some versions of formal speech. So I think, she will clash on this issue very quickly with the Greeks. Maybe they will try not to get involved as Macedonia is under Bulgarian blockade, so there is no need for an additional double blockade. Or maybe, depending on their internal domestic political situation, they may try to press it early, and she will definitely give them, both her and Mickoski will definitely give the Greeks a lot of opportunities to insist that we're violating the treaty, and they will gladly do so. I mean, they said that they will not be using it, using the imposed name. On the Bulgarian stuff, we'll now have elections in Bulgaria. GERB will win, the Conservative Party. GERB, whatever. And so if there is some...
Boyko still the head of GERB?
Yeah, I think so.
He's another one of those has been around for far too long. So.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But like Orban, he's popular with the common people, and they're his base, and they're kind of stuck with him. So we'll see if VMRO manages to make a grand deal with the Bulgarians immediately after their election. And frankly, VMRO is pretty reasonable on the Bulgarian issue, even though the campaign was, I was just listening to some Bulgarian news saying it was dominated by anti-Bulgarian sentiment. And there was like a sign in Skopje, like this is treason, like a graffiti drawn in the center of the city, like before the campaign. But VMRO's position formally is we will accept this, adding the Bulgarian minority to the constitution, but in a delayed effect as we join the EU. and we want some reciprocal measure on your part, on the Macedonian minority, which is not even something that the government should do. It's just like an automatically registering some organization which applies for membership, and then, usually it's the judiciary in Bulgaria which then deregisters these organizations, which might take a while. So, it's common decency to allow citizens of an EU member state to register an organization, no matter how you disagree with them. And it's not something that it's too difficult for Bulgaria to do. So VMRO could make a deal with Bulgaria, as their starting position is pretty reasonable, I think. It's not this red in tooth and claw position against Bulgaria as it's being portrayed. And then, maybe this is the reason why the US Embassy is so gleefully congratulating Gordana, and will apparently congratulate Mickoski once he's elected prime minister. That they may be hoping that, now you have a huge mandate. The same story they would tell to Nicola: you have a huge mandate now. The Greeks are reasonable, at least this government. Go make a deal quickly. So it's possible that this will be the embassy's approach to Mickoski, like, okay, we are not attacking you. In fact, we are endorsing you in a way, and go quickly and make a deal with the Bulgarians. And then what the Greeks will do after, hopefully, the Bulgarian veto is lifted, then whether they will then determine that we have we haven't been using the adjective north as much as we should have, or maybe by then we have a Dutch government which blocks us on a completely different ground, so we drop the disputes with our neighbors altogether and concentrate on the Dutch veto. We'll see how it happens.
And there's also, of course, internally within the EU, there has been more and more talk of changing the rules to make it qualified majority instead of unanimity on certain areas, including foreign affairs. That has been bubbling around for quite some time. I think it's a good idea. And several European countries do, including some big ones. I believe the Germans are in favor of that. So we'll see. I don't, but does it?
Maybe for the final decision of enlargement,
Yeah.
Maybe they remove it from opening accession talks and chapters, but then, keep it on the final ultimate decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt any country would allow this to happen.
Allow what to happen?
Well, in order to do this, you have to change the treaties of the European Union, which is done with unanimity. So they would have to unanimously decide to abandon the unanimity.
Yeah. Then they're just going to have more of the same problems with all of the other countries that are still waiting. Greece has already been talking about its problems with Albania and Greeks in Albania in terms of Albania's EU accession, and everybody's got something on everybody. That's called life, and that's called history, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Which is why these bilateral disputes, so-called, should not be a part of the accession talks.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have been for NATO. They shouldn't be for the EU. And
I hope the Dutch block us so we stop the dispute with Bulgaria, which is strongly disliked.
Yeah.
But I don't see the lifting of the veto. I'm just, haggling on who is the most beneficial to, who will be the least bad country to block us.
So, I see. Okay, here's the, this is the Swedish ambassador. Congratulations, and she uses Gordana's handle on Twitter X on breaking barriers, the first female president of, and then she uses the emoji flag. Looking forward to continuing the great emoji cooperation of on hashtag gender equality and many other topics. Well, of course, that's what she's gonna. So okay.
Who is this?
This
from?
is Amy Larsen-Jane, the Swedish ambassador.
Ah, yeah, the Swedish lady. No, we had the first congratulations was from Vucic and to Gordana, who is the only one who is formally elected now. But you can congratulate to the party, to VMRO, for winning the elections, and this obviously came from Viktor, from Hungary. But then, we'll see, this might also be an issue, how VMRO positions itself? Is it because then they received congratulations from conventional right-wing squishy parties like the Croats, the Croatian party, but also from like Orban-friendly Janez Janša. So we'll see. I mean, how quickly VMRO gets endorsed and welcomed back by the Germans, the French, or whoever there is in, or do we stay as a party which is closest to Orban and then has some, because of the Greek influence, the Bulgarian influence, kind of frozen relationship with what used to be the conventional right-wing parties in Europe, who are pretty weak now. I mean, they don't rule Germany. They're destroyed in Italy and in France. They used to run all these huge countries, and now they run nothing. They have Greece and they have Croatia. That's about it, I think. Or they got Poland after the coup there. Okay, they're right. The old style conservatives, they now control Poland.
Right. Okay.
But we'll see. This is another thing to see how VMRO plays it, and then obviously the big decision will be Trump, if Trump wins, or whoever
Well, that's
controls Biden.
Yeah, well, that would be Dr. Jill Biden. Dr. Jill Biden. So she's not a medical doctor, folks. She has a PhD in education. So
Well, I mean, listen, the way she's handling the president, I would give her a medical PhD, no problem. She's keeping the dosage just right.
Kind of staying back on the international. Fatonia Medini, is that her? I pronounce her name. She's a director of the SCE.
Some Albanian?
No, she's Albanian, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, director of SCE Observatory. I'm not sure who that is.
Okay.
She has interesting. Her thread concludes, that the fact that VMRO and Znam can invite Vlen, but they don't need them. So, as a result, Albanian opposition bloc Vlen within the new VMRO-led government is expected to be needed and present, but not crucial for its survival. This will reflect back, and this is the key part, diminishing the influence and position of Albanians in this new government. Absolutely correct. So, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So it's
the oversized influence of the Albanians.
But what it is it's simply a reset back to what should be. Is what it is. It's nothing more, nothing less. So again, Albanians have always been in government in Macedonia, and they should be there. But they just shouldn't have the free run of the land to be able to do whatever they want, especially when it comes to issues that they really don't care about, like Macedonian identity and the name, etc. So
yeah.
Anyway.
No, they hugely overdid it.
Yeah. So that's a very good way of putting it. So, all right. What else have we got? That's it.
What else except these historic events?
Exactly. So, gosh, yeah. Wish I could have been there, but that's okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
One of these days, we have to do a kind of a live. During one of the future elections, we'll have to do a live feed.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, let's do this. This doesn't have to be a long podcast. We've gone over the basics. Let's try and get this out today. This is episode 173 of the Macedonian Content Farmers Podcast. We are recording this on Thursday, May 9. Hopefully, we'll get it out today, and then probably get together again in another week or two once Gordana's been inaugurated and once we know more about the composition of the new government and reaction and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, things will start moving fast now with the government, with negotiations with neighbors, very likely some arrests, which were long overdue for corruption. Yeah, we'll have a bunch of stuff happening. I mean, Mickoski said no retaliation, no vendetta, but he was mostly talking to the lower level, like public administration people, but he insisted that those who violated the law will be severely punished, and it's going to be, a very long list of people. So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we are.
And obviously, we're expecting the pardons from Gordana for the people who are in prison over, politically persecuted victims of the DUI SDSM regime, primarily the guys who are in prison over the storming of the parliament, where everybody of some importance was released, political importance. It was only
Cento,
common
Cento's still in
protesters.
Still in prison.
Cento is there. Cento is the most
Yeah.
prominent of the protesters who is in prison. And we have the former Interior Minister Chavkov. He's still in prison over this, plus a number of Interior Ministry officials. So they are on the list. We have Mila Yanakievsky has a bunch of cases hanging over him. He has been a trooper. He deserves a pardon. And obviously, I checked that there is a flight from Budapest on the day when Gordana is being inaugurated. So maybe not get ahead of ourselves, but that's also a very important pardon. We will be, or we'll see how they play it out. I mean, the political prisoners have said we don't want pardons, we want retrials, we want,
You want a fair
prove our
justice system. Is
innocence.
that's all we're asking for, is a fair justice system instead of a two-tiered, two-level justice system like we have here in the United States, by the way. So, yeah.
Your deep state has been practicing on countries like Macedonia, and now they're perfecting the craft and using it on your own, on Trump, on your own.
It always comes back.
It's really
It is, but it will come back to bite. So just as we've seen anyway, we'll leave it at that. So, okay, good. All right.
They're listening to us.
Yeah, of course they're listening to us. This is.
Yeah, of course, it's a podcast.
We want them to listen to us.
No, I had once I was listening to a Ricochet podcast. They had this the U.S. ambassador to Russia, McFaul.
Oh, Michael. Yeah.
And he said, like, guys, the level of sophistication, of technological sophistication in Russia, and they have the technology to listen to stuff like this, what we're talking about. And I tweeted at him, and he actually retweeted it, thinking I'm being earnest, but I was eventually, dude, I mean, this is a podcast you're recording. You realized I'm listening to you, let alone Vladimir Putin.
Oh, that's okay. We all make mistakes. So, okay. Well, again, congratulations to Macedonia and my Macedonian friends and families, and let's hope all the best for Macedonia as the new government and the new president go forward soon. And let's reconvene in a week or two as soon as we've got some more intel on who the various ministers are going to be, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Good talking to you, Svetlin.
You too, buddy. Take care.
You too.